Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all those around. We're just getting set up and getting connected. What I wanted to do to get started before we talk about our updates and before we get into our presentation is I wanted to kind of share with you kind of what some people uh, experience on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to give you a quick sample of what it's like. Great sound check is good, video is good. Anyone, if there's any issues, just put it in the chat. Let me know what's going on. But we had this one case. Actually, it's still going. I'm going to change some of the names and things like that. But this individual, let's say, was from China. He came and was working for a company in H-1B status for 6 years almost. Now, if you're familiar with the H-1B category, H-1Bs are valid up to 6 years in 3-year increments. So this person had many times to start the green card process. And in order to extend your H-1B beyond the 6-year limit, you have to have your green card case pending either for more than 365 days or have an approved immigrant petition. Well, unfortunately, this individual, he was working at this company, working diligently, never left the US, just worked hard for the past 5 years and 330 days or whatever it may be. And the attorney that was the immigration attorney that was handling the case was actually behind the clock, meaning the person was going to reach their 6-year limit prior to the labor certification reaching its 365th day. And there was nothing put in place. And unfortunately, this Chinese national, there was a new HR person that came in and fired this person, and they lost their job like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the H-1B was about to expire. So what we did is we came in and looked at all the options. We looked at EB2, EB3 labor certification. We looked at O1 visas. We looked at some others. We initially went ahead and looked at the B1, B2. We said, oh, you can handle that. That didn't work out well because the rules changed. And we had to file what's called nunc pro tunc. That means, in a Latin term, as if filed as of the correct time, or as if filed timely, nunc pro tunc for all of you guys out there. But fortunately, we were able to jump back in, help them out. And I just want to suggest and let people know when they hear this story is you have to plan ahead. I usually tell H-1B holders or anyone, start your green card process no later than with 2 years left on your status, because things happen. Administrations change, rules change, fees change, government entities change, or governments shut down as they are now. And all of this impacts your ability to stay in the United States and work. And so since H-1Bs are so critical, and now they're going to be very scarce because of all the changes, it's so important that you always plan ahead. Now, in this case, we're fortunate, we're helping this person out, and he may have other options. But the problem is this puts a lot of stress on the individual. Plus, not to mention, you're paying a lot more for attorney's fees for last minute filings. So it's always important as we get started today. This is just one example of why it's so key to plan ahead. Make sure your immigration attorney has a plan for you throughout your immigration journey. Don't wait, especially if you're an H-1B. If you have been in H-1B status for 4 years and have not started the green card process, you need to find a new employer or figure something out. Figure out another way, whether it's EB2 national interest waiver or something else. It's so important that you not wait or procrastinate. When you're in H-1B status or any status, TN, L, E, time is of the essence, especially now as things on the immigration scene, the immigration environment, the immigration landscape is literally changing every week as we speak. It could just be a tariff spat between Canada and the US, and that could impact TN visas, E visas, and many others. So plan ahead. We'll talk a little bit about what you can do in this chaotic scene when we get to our presentation, but I just wanted to share this example with everyone as to how we here at Ray Law International are helping individuals with their immigration challenges and trying to help them avoid immigration pitfalls that right now is so easily that you can easily find yourself in. So that's one of the cases we're handling right now. I'm very proud that we're able to help this person out and that we're coming up with solutions. That person's not there yet. We haven't secured the green card for that person, but we're starting to put together a plan, look at options, and get them focused on what's important so that ultimately we can meet their goals and expectations to be here in the United States in some lawful capacity, whether through employment or some other category. All right. So next, before we get into our presentation, I want to go over the headlines. Folks, hold on. I'm going to go through these really quick. There are so many. We have a great presentation set for you that I'm about to dive into, ready to dive into, but I've got about 20 before we get to the presentation. Don't pull it up yet. Before we get to the presentation, I've got about at least 10 to 12 things we've got to go over as updates. If you have questions about these things, because this is impacting so many people, if you have questions, put them in the chat. Contact us at 888-401-1016 or the number on the screen. It is so important that you get competent, knowledgeable immigration representation. Don't just chase the cheap dollar without any support or backing that you're going to be taking care of. One other story before we jump into our headlines. Last month, someone reached out to us for a removal proceeding, and they said, oh, we've got another attorney. They went that way. You know what? A month later, they're calling us back and they're coming and saying, we want to meet with you guys again because that didn't work out. One of the greatest complaints with any attorney is communication. While we can't always communicate instantly, like instant messaging, we are going to communicate with you within 24 to 48 hours to make sure that your case is taken care of. We really take our job responsible. We take our role seriously, and we know that we're dealing with your future, and we want to make sure that not only do we meet your goal, that we exceed that, and that you share our contact information with others. So if people are looking for experienced immigration attorney and law firm that's really going to be serious and cares about their case, not just them paying money, please reach out to us, introduce us to them. We're meeting with many people this week and corporations as well to help them navigate the current immigration environment. So let's get started with the updates. Just keep that on the screen as is. I'm going to grab some water. Now, the first thing, headline is U.S. lawmakers are proposing to remove the tax exemption for foreign workers under the OPT program. If you're not familiar with what OPT is, that's Occupational Practical Training. It's held by F1 students, so students who come here to study after they finish their degree, whether that's an associate or program or degree or a four-year degree, they get initially a one-year work permit, and that's called OPT. And there is additional other work options such as CPT and STEM OPT. However, what the government or politicians are looking to do is to remove the tax exemption. Now remember, these are students who just finished their degree. These are international students who probably pay twice as much as U.S. citizens pay for tuition and room and board to study here in the U.S. So for whatever reason, they want to get more money from these students, and this is what they're looking at doing. That's one thing. I think it's really unfortunate The next topic regarding the number of foreign students has decreased 15% in 24-25 school year. It was 1.2 million international students, and this year it's 1.02 million. That's a 15% decrease. This impacts the U.S. in many ways. One, it impacts your universities when there's no foreign students. Your tuition for your student is definitely going to go up. Okay, the money's got to come from somewhere. Secondly, the talent that we would get and attract from around the world is not going to be coming to the U.S. Not only do they now have to pay taxes if they're an OPT, but more importantly, they may not even have the option to get a work permit. The H-1Bs, they're tacking on $100,000 for new H-1Bs. Tuition in the U.S., college tuition in the U.S. is outrageous to begin with, but now companies have got to pay $100,000 to bring an H-1B new worker on going forward. Now, thankfully, there is litigation, but this is a huge deterrent. And again, uncertainty. Are you going to invest 4 years in a university with all the uncertainty, knowing that you may not be able to work here in the United States? It's going to be very tough to make that determination. Many people are going to be looking at other options, whether that's Europe, Canada, Australia, or some other location. Many of those countries' universities, for example, universities in Japan, are looking to attract those students that don't want the uncertainty that we see here with our university and our visas that we see is happening. So we'll keep you updated. The next one I wanted to bring up is Apple is taking down the Ice Blocker app on its app. The DOJ has pressured Apple to remove that app. The app was put out there in order to help people in the community identify when ICE agents were in their community and alert them to, that ICE is in the area. Now, we do this with Waze and other apps. It's not dangerous for our police, but however, the DOJ feels that it's dangerous or puts their ICE agents at risk. As you know from the news, there's this ongoing battle between what ICE is doing and their agenda and the courts, and how certain rights, constitutional rights, are being violated. So as that struggle continues, unfortunately, Apple did take down that app, which was an excellent tool to help protect individuals, to alert individuals of when ICE agents were in the area. The next one is DACA holders. A lot of people were excited to hear that possibly DACA opportunities would reopen. Unfortunately, that is not the case just yet. The Fifth Circuit did make a decision, and now they remanded it down or sent it back down to the district court to implement what the Fifth Circuit had stated or implemented. Unfortunately, the Fifth Circuit said that, yeah, DACA holders, you can stay here, deferred status is okay. However, for whatever reason, they decided you don't get work authorization. That is a killer. Now, the limitation for that is to the just Texas. However, this could be a path forward that could impact DACA holders throughout the United States. So we'll continue to monitor this. This is really big. As of today, new DACA recipients, those who got cut off or didn't meet that deadline, cannot get DACA status. However, you can file, but they're not, processing them. It'll just sit there until they have authorization to process those DACA holders, okay, or potential DACA holders. All right, let's continue on. ICE is partnering with Plantier to come up with a Big Brother immigration system to monitor all the foreign nationals in the United States. This is the Big Brother. Again, I just caution our viewers and our community out there that this is just the next step to monitor every U.S. citizen in the United States. There'll be more to come on this, but this is implemented already, and we can probably see more of this roll out. How this impacts people coming to the United States, I don't know. Do people want to come to the United States and be under the constant eye of Big Brother? It's going to be tough. What do you think? Put your comments in the below. What have you heard? Have you seen this being implemented in and around your community? The next one, the government is on an agenda to collect as much money or extort as much money from foreign nationals. The first one is $1,000 fee for individuals who apply to and obtain advance parole. Those individuals who have parole and are coming back into the United States are being forced to pay $1,000 fee. So make sure you have additional monies in your account. Now, who does this apply to? For example, think of a DACA holder who gets approved for advanced parole for a one-time exit to come back in. And when that person re-enters in, CBP is going to require that they pay $1,000 before they enter the United States. There have been cases where people have had to pay this, so it is actually happening, folks. Have an extra $1,000 ready to go if you have advanced parole and you go out and come back in. Now, the reason why you want a great immigration attorney is because there's always exceptions. Call us, find out what those exceptions are. Doesn't apply to all, but you want to make sure you get the best information. The next fee, asylum seekers. All asylum seekers have to pay a $100 annual fee now, whether you're detained or you have affirmative asylum, you're outside of detention. You have to pay the $100 fee. Notices are going out daily, essentially. We received 20 or 30 of them this past week, and our clients have to pay those fees. Those are going to be due annually. When you get your notice, pay those within 30 days. You don't want to be in the situation where you find out you lose your application or gets denied, and now you're in a tougher position. You got to pay more attorney's fees and file all over again. $100 fee annually, just to give you an idea, if there's 1 million asylum seekers, which there are more than that, if everyone is paying $100 a year, that's $100 million per year that's going to the government. How this money is being used, we don't know. No one knows. Hopefully it's used properly, but the DHS has not been clear of how the monies are being used. Hopefully Congress will do their job and monitor these agencies to make sure that these fees are being used properly and for the right reason. The next fee, moving on, we got about 4 or 5 more. $100,000 H-1 filing fee, $100,000 H-1B fee for cap cases. This is all for the new ones. Yes, it is being implemented. Yes, people have to pay that. It does not apply to people who already have H-1Bs, filing extensions, amendments, and things like that. However, there is litigation that is pending. Hopefully, the litigation will find this to be unconstitutional or outrageous of why anyone would have to pay an additional $100,000 when there's already filing fees that are high enough. Just to give you an idea, for companies that have 26 or more employees, filing fees, if you add premium processing in, they're already paying $7,000 to $8,000 per application in filing fees alone to the government. So why an additional $100,000? Of course, money grab and extort those who don't have any representation in our government. The next fee, they keep adding on, so hold tight. There's a new additional $5,000 inadmissible alien apprehension fee. So if you try to enter the United States and you're inadmissible and they make that determination, you got to pay $5,000 before you can go to court or get any benefit. So again, more money is being dished out. There's a lot of twists and turns with removal proceedings right now. There's litigation. There's on again, off again situations depending on your situation. So $5,000. Not only do you need $1,000 for parolees, now you need $5,000 if you're thinking about trying to sneak into the United States. It's 3 more. Asylum pretermission. If you're not familiar with that term, pretermission, it's a unique terminology, but what it means is now immigration judges can dismiss your asylum claim or application if they feel it doesn't meet the requirements, or the application is not complete, or there's some kind of problem with your case. So a lot of people are not aware of this now with all these new immigration judges coming in and under the control of the Department of Justice. They're going to be utilizing pretermission just to get rid of all these cases because they feel for whatever reason. Now, will they provide written reasons for this? We'll see. Will these pretermission decisions be appealable to the BIA? We do not know yet, but that's the latest tool that they're implementing to get rid of the millions and hundreds and thousands of cases that are before both the USCIS on the affirmative asylum side and on the defensive side for their immigration judges. And this pretermission, I believe it's it's given to the USCIS officers who are adjudicating at the interview. So for those of you out there who think it's not necessary to have an immigration attorney, just listen to this list. It's crazy. I mean, even for us attorneys, it's, we're doing a master class every week just to stay up with all the changes going on. Two more, and then we're going to jump into our discussion. TPS. If you have TPS or you know someone who's on TPS, make sure you know when your expiration date, and make sure whatever you plan to do, it's already in process. Do not wait till the last minute in order to take action before your TPS expires. Right now for Venezuela is in the crosshairs. Make sure you know what you're doing, and make sure you have an active case. If an attorney or someone files something for you, make sure you have something in writing in hand so that you can show immigration when they come to question you about your status here in the United States. Additionally, next year in 2026, we're going to see other TPS authorizations expire. Just a side note, our heart goes out to those in Jamaica and those in Cuba who are facing the current hurricane. This is what TPS is for. Not only do these countries need aid, but a wealthy country like the US, we can help others out. Obviously, we need to help our own people first by opening up the government and doing what's right for our own people, but we have additional resources to help other people in disaster situations. This is why people have TPS in the first place. There's something drastically going wrong in their country, whether it's a hurricane, political unrest, or something more. This is what TPS is for. We need to be a nation that still helps and cares about people. Of course, yes, we need to care about our people first as well, but we also need to care about other people in the community and around the world. We have the resources to do it. And finally, the last topic before we jump in is DHS is still asserting mandatory detention. So if they detain you and you're a foreign national and they feel that you have some immigration violation, then they are going to argue to keep you in detention while you go through the immigration process. Obviously, this is going to be more expensive to the taxpayers because you have to keep them in detention. That's costly. It's also, there's a lot of issues with these detention centers and the care that people are getting. People who are dying in these facilities, there's no checks and balances right now, and this is probably not the best situation. It's more important with all the monitoring options they have, whether that's Tether or this new ICE monitoring through Plantier. There's many ways to monitor people outside of detention. These are not hardened criminals. They don't have criminal backgrounds, but they are being detained. And the cost to get people out of detention is another burden on foreign nationals, in addition to the many fees that we just talked about. All right, guys. That is a quick update, and I do mean quick. There's a lot more going on in the immigration realm that we're facing, and many, many challenges. Please reach out to a seasoned immigration attorney to help guide you. your company, your family. It matters. Now's the time to invest, not when they're deported and barred for, 3 or 10 years or have a permanent bar. It's too late at that point. You need a plan now. Reach out to Ray Law International or another trusted immigration attorney that's going to take care of you, your family, and also your business. All right, let's jump in. Go ahead and pull that slide up. Let's get started with our topic today. Okay, again, everybody, this is a time for you to put your questions in the chat. If you have an immigration question, put it in the chat. We'll try to address that. That's a little bit more important than my presentation, even though we got a lot of great information for you today. We're here to kind of reach out to you during this time. Oftentimes we're crazy busy with everything that's going on. It's all good. We're excited that we can help out. We can help so many people, but now it's the time we set to help the community. So feel free to put your questions in the chat wherever you're listening from. Additionally, wherever you're from, let us know where you're listening to us from, whether that's Asia, Europe, whatever state you're in. Let us know. We would love to hear from you and to know the reach that we're getting out there. Okay. All right. So let's get started. All right. Pull that up. Excellent. So for those who are just joining, hello and welcome to today's episode of Opportunity on the Move here on the Ray Law International channel, where we dive into the shifting currents and find the hidden openings in times of change. I'm your host, Anthony Ray. Today, we're tackling the topic Immigration Chaos 2025. But more importantly, how can we turn this uncertainty into the biggest opportunity for your business and for you? Because yes, we're in a turbulent times when it comes to immigration. Policies are changing rapidly, and I do mean rapidly. The environment feels chaotic. It is chaotic. It just doesn't feel that way. But chaos and change also means potential. And I want to help you not just survive, but thrive. So what are we going to cover today over our time together? First, we're going to talk about the current state of immigration in the U.S. in 2025, what's changed, and what's uncertain. Second, why this turmoil actually creates opportunity for immigrants, for business people, for professionals, and for communities. Next, we're going to talk about concrete strategies you can deploy to seize those opportunities. And finally, we're going to show you how to move forward with intentionality. Let's jump in. All right. So there's a lot going on. Here are the major shifts that we see. Perfect. That's great. So what's happening right now? In January 2025, the administrative signed an executive order that's 14159 titled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which revokes earlier, more liberal immigration guidance and pushes for aggressive enforcement, which we've seen, of removal for those unlawfully present in the U.S. Next, there have been updates to family-based immigrant visa policies. The U.S. released a policy manual update in August 2025 for family-based petitions, tightening review of the validity of petitions and clarifying when interviews may be required. A lot of people don't know about this, but we have seen a heightened scrutiny of just family-based cases. Some people feel that it's simply just filling out forms, showing up. We are seeing the opposite. People are getting challenged. A ton more relationship documents are required, and in some circumstances, it's vital that you have an attorney present. The Gold Card. It's not dead yet, guys. The Gold Card visa program was announced in September 2025, which offers an expedited immigrant visa program pathway for those who make large financial gifts to the United States government. We'll see how that's going, whether it's 1 million or 5 million. My thought process is, you have that kind of money, why do you want to live in the United States? You can live wherever you want. I would probably be on a yacht myself. All this adds up to higher risk and greater uncertainty for many immigrants, visa holders, and families. The rules are shifting, enforcement is increasing, pathways are tightening in many respects. But, and this is the key, uncertainty does not mean no opportunity. In fact, it means you need a strategy to navigate and turn the change into benefit. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Let's shift our mindset for a moment. When we say chaos, what do we really mean? It means old systems are being disrupted, new rules are being written, power dynamics are being rebalanced, and in that flux, there are opportunities that are presented. Here are 3 ways current immigration context presents openings. So let's look at all 3 of these. First, let's see. Yep. First mover advantage in new pathways. When things change, early adopters have a chance. For example, the Gold Card program is new. If you understand it, prepare for it now, you may unlock faster or more favorable access. Many people will wait, get confused, or miss the window. That gives you the advantage. Next, even as certain visa routines tighten, for example, H-1Bs, in the U.S., there are other visa categories. There'll be shortages in skills, demographics favoring more immigrants, industries needing labor. A recent report noted that immigration restrictions could actually shrink the workforce by millions by 2035. So if you position yourself as high skill, high value, or in a niche, you become more sought after. That's the key. The key for this is to plan ahead. Let's go to the third one. When policy shifts, many people pull back, get afraid, or stick to old ways. That means fewer competitors in certain immigration service niches, fewer people putting themselves out there. That creates space for you. And for example, and what we do is immigration consulting services, educating and training for immigrants. That's what we're doing today. Bilingual business services, community support networks, legal and visa strategy expertise. If you serve immigrant clients like we do, you yourself are an immigrant, you might see opportunities that will surface and you should not ignore. Next, strategies that we can look at and turn to. I think we're on the next one. We have 6 strategies. This is going to be the next one. This is a long one, but now let's get practical. Here are some concrete strategies that can be acted on. First, get extremely well informed and stay ahead. That's what we're doing today. Make it a habit, track policy updates weekly. One slip or misunderstanding can derail your visa path. For example, updated family-based manual from USCIS clarifies when interviews will be required and raises questions of bona fide marriage. You need to also network with immigration attorneys and immigration experts. Build your circle. Reach out to us. Also, you need to think ahead. If you're planning immigration, don't just act on today's rule. Plan for the worst and best case scenarios. Number 2, if you are an immigrant or visa holder, ask what unique skills, networks, bilingual strengths do you bring? How can you adapt to the changing demands around you? If you serve immigrants, identify pain points. For example, legal help, translation services, community orientation, business startup support, and support for immigrant entrepreneurs. Think about adjacent services. For example, helping immigrants navigate U.S. job markets, resume help, mentorship matching, cultural acclimation, and language training. On the mentorship, I think I've been contacted at least 2 or 3 times this week regarding mentorship and connecting and networking. So it's so relevant and important in today's changing society. Next, because of uncertainty, don't rely on just one plan. Have a backup plan. If you're aiming for a visa, consider backup routes, employment-based, family-based, investment-based, like the Gold Card. If you're a business, think about sourcing talent from global pools, but also investing in training and upscaling local talent in case restrictions tighten. There's many other visa categories that we can talk about that can bring talent in and out of the United States other than the H-1B. Reach out to us. Document everything, proof of relationship, employment credentials. For instance, the updated policy manual emphasized that USCIS may issue a notice to appear if documentation is weak. Can you believe that? People don't understand. If you don't have enough relationship documents, not only will your case be denied, they're just going to put you into immigration court. And now you're in a worst case scenario and you're paying your immigration attorney $10, $15, $20, $30,000 to take care of your family-based case because you wanted to do it on your own, or you thought, Google or ChatGPT could help you get through the process. Next, this one is leveraging the uncertainty. Here, if you understand immigration shifts, you can provide services such as navigator or act as a navigator for others. You can offer webinars, training, information packages from 2025 changes and what we expect in 2026. For example, you can make them aware of the Gold Card program or other green card or employment opportunities, or of the new enforcement policies that are coming in the areas, and they are expanding. You can also create community-based support, immigrant networks, peer mentorships, language and job prep groups. Next, think of businesses that cater to immigrant needs, relocation services, legal and visa compliance platforms, bilingual marketing agencies, cross-border logistics, and cultural consulting. Also consider that workforce disruption may open new markets. Labor shortages in agriculture due to enforcement changes has had economic impacts. Tap into remittance flows, cross-border entrepreneurship, and transnational ideas. Excellent. And we're on our sixth strategy. Let's build an emergency plan. This is key. If your visa status changes, if your job is impacted, if your family relationships are scrutinized, have backup plans. Maintain financial savings, network outside your current role, and keep credentials up to date. Cultivate adaptability. Changing policies may mean you have to pivot from one visa category to another, H-1B to O. Also, what we see as well, and we've experienced this, sometimes couples come over to the United States in H-1B Ls or Es, and their relationship ends in dissolution, or they get a divorce. The foreign nationals, everyone has to figure out how that impacts. Contact the immigration attorney at the beginning of your divorce. Have a plan in place. That's what we're talking about today. So many people have reached out to us and they're out of status. Some marry a U.S. citizen, that's great, or remarry a U.S. citizen, that's great. However, you have to have a plan in place. Next, let's look at a case scenario to kind of emphasize what we're talking about today. So let's imagine Anna, software engineer from India, working on H-1B in early 2025. She sees new restrictions, H-1B, tougher vetting for non-immigrant workers. Rather than freeze, she starts building her own side project to later pivot to an entrepreneur visa route. Next, she networks with immigrant founding groups, gets advice on the H-2B, national interest waiver, optimizes her resume, builds leadership experience, so if she needs to apply under extraordinary ability or national interest, she's ready to go. She also, by doing this, she transforms the uncertain visa future into multiple options, positioning herself for whichever path opens. You could be Anna too, or you could help build the ecosystem around people like Anna. Let's talk about pitfalls to avoid. Don't wait. Policy changes don't wait for you. You can't procrastinate. You have to be proactive. Don't assume business as usual. Just because you had one path in 2025 doesn't mean it will still work in 2026 and beyond. Don't rely on informal advice alone. Not Google, not your brother, not your sister, not your uncle. Immigration policy immigration policy is legal and technical. Bad advice could be costly, technical, it could be costly. Use credible counsel like ourselves. Don't neglect the bigger picture. Opportunity isn't just about getting in, it's about making the most of that making most of that presence. Once you're in, how do you thrive? How do you move forward? How do we pivot? How do we navigate? Now, there are 3 steps you can take in the next 30 days that I want to talk about. Let's move to that next slide. Great. What are we going to do over the next 30 days? First, you're going to audit your status or your business. Write down where you stand right now. What visa or pathways are you on or considering? What are your vulnerabilities? What are your opportunities? We just did this with one of our corporations. They wanted to know, hey, where are these foreign nationals at? Where are they at in their H-1B process, in the green card process? How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? All of that. Take an audit of where you're at. Next, map out at least 2 alternative routes. For example, Route A, current employment visa, H-1B ELs, TNs. Route B, investment entrepreneur route. And Route C, family-based if that's an option for you. What would it take to pivot from each of these? And third, begin building your network and value offer. Attend one immigration policy webinar such as this, or join an immigrant founder group. List 2 things you can offer, such skills, services, business ideas, and 2 people you can connect with. Very important. I know this is a lot. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. Remember, the rules shift. So remember, just going back, the rules shift. Fear is natural, but fear leads to paralysis. Don't do nothing. What we want instead is prepared action. The immigration environment in 2025 may feel chaotic, but fortunes are made when others withdraw. If you move with intention, you can turn uncertainty into your advantage. Be proactive, be versatile, build your value, and don't just aim to get by, but aim to stand out, to lead, and move forward. Because in change, there is a space for leadership, innovation, and new paths. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, share with someone in your network who's navigating immigration or talent strategy, and consider sending me your feedback. What's your biggest immigration challenge right now? I'd love to hear from you, maybe address it in the future video or episode. Until next time, stay informed, stay educated, and stay on the right immigration path. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Our number is 888-401-1016. Again, my name is Anthony Ray, immigration attorney here at Ray Law International. Bye for now.